use MS Excel is now MS Excel is the latest. Uh, it is a part of this MS Office package only. Under this MS Office package, you find all these services: MS Word, PowerPoint, MS Excel, right? MS Access. All these are a part of this Office package, Microsoft Office package. So using that only, this Microsoft Office package provides us a lot of service. One such service is this MS Excel. So usually it's used by people to store data, sometimes with related to a school or organization or anywhere, right? It's easy for us to store the necessary data, okay, save it and draw pie charts, draw these line charts, bar charts, all these things, right? We can easily do it. So we'll study further about this when we start doing the questions, right? So I explained what active cell is. Active cell is the currently selected cell in a worksheet. This is highlighted in black and bold, right? So now this in here is called an active cell, the cell in which you have currently selected. It's bolded, that is called as active cell. Now this cell address, like I told you children, every cell has something called a cell address. Okay, it's similar to giving a location to a particular cell. Now for example, I'll take an blank Excel sheet for you all. Give me a minute. Right, now you can see this is a blank Excel sheet, right? Now in order to find the cell address of this particular cell, we write the cell address using the column and the row in which that cell is located. Column and row, it goes as column and row, right? Now I'm going to write the cell address of this particular cell. I don't know whether you can see. I hope you all can see. I can. Okay, I'll move it like this. Okay, I'll keep it on the right. Okay. So now I'm going to write the cell address in of this cell called E. Right? So when I'm writing the cell address for this address cell is it's written in column and row. So E is the column, right? And the row in which this cell is located, this first cell is located, is row number 1. Right? Simple like this. It's very simple. This is how you write the cell address of any cell. It goes in column and row. Right? So this is the way you write it. You can't put row first and column second. No, that's wrong. Right? It has to be column first, row second. That is how you write the cell address. Now, cell addresses are very important when you're writing formulas with related to MS Excel, when you're working out in your exam papers, right? So make sure you write it as column and row, not row and column, right? When you're writing the cell addresses for the formula and cell ranges. So now I'll get back to our previous presentation. Okay, now that is about the cell address. Uh, if you're going to write the cell address of any cell, it has to be written in column and row basis only. Give me a minute. Okay. So now range of cells. Range of cells is a block of adjacent cells one after the other. It can be horizontal cells or vertical cell. Now here you can see when a particular cell is being highlighted, now you can see this whole set of cells are being highlighted. Now if they tell you to write the cell range of this cell, right, you're going to write it. Now you're going to write it in this way. Okay, so whenever you're writing the cell range, the first cell address of the first cell will be written. Okay, so the address of the first cell will be written. Now here the first cell address is B2. That will be written first, and the address of the last cell in here, which is B5, is written in here. Right? So the cell range is written with the cell address of the first cell and the cell address of the last cell. Right? So two cell addresses are only given here. Cell address of the first cell. Okay, cell address of the first cell and is written as B2, and cell address of the second cell, sorry, last cell is written in here. Okay, so this is how you basically write a cell range. Now, suppose if this cell range is highlighted in this manner, like this, in this way, right? Horizontally, right? Now I'm say I'm highlighting it these last three cells, and I'm asking you to write the cell range of it. Okay, this cell and this cell, I'm telling you to write the cell range of it. You're going to write it. The first cell in here that is highlighted is B6. Okay, and the last one is D6. Okay, you have to put a semicolon like this. So the first cell address and the last cell address. The speciality of cell range is you do not put the cell address of the cell that is in between, right? This cell address is not put, only the first and the last, right? So this is how you write the cell range using the cell addresses. And remember, cell addresses are always written as column and row. Okay, column and row. So this is the first cell address. Okay, this one. Okay, that is the first cell address, and this is the last cell address. You don't write the cell addresses which is in between. So that is how you simply write the range. Okay, so now I will give you all 5 minutes to answer this question number 1. Okay, I'm going to set timer. I'll give you all 5 minutes. I want you all to answer question number 1, and once after y'all are done, please let me know y'all are done so that I can quickly discuss. Can you all do it? Are y'all doing it? Just put a thumbs up in the group for me to know that y'all are doing it. Only one of you is responding. I want the others as well to respond. Give me a minute. I will try to decrease the screen size so that you can see. Now better, no? You can see the whole question. Okay, we'll find the... I want you all to do this faster and let me know. I'm just giving 5 minutes. It's now almost 4:50, 4:55. I will discuss. Okay, I think I have given you all enough and more time to do these questions. We'll discuss. While I'm discussing, you all can share the answers in the chat. Okay, and you all can check whether your answers are right. Now, the first question it says, what is the address of the first cell represented by R1 cell range? So, in this highlighted portion is called a cell range, right? So, in this cell range, what they're asking, what's the first cell address? What is the address of the first cell? So I told you, when you're writing the cell address, it has to be column and row. So the cell address of this first cell, the first cell of range R1, okay, is B2, right? It is B2. So the first answer is B2. B is the column, right? And 2 is the row, second row. So the row in which that particular cell is in is row number 2. The column in which it is located is column B, right? Yeah. Now the second one, what is the address of the last cell represented by R1 cell range? Same thing. They're asking you the address of the last cell of this particular cell range. So in this cell range, what is the last cell? So when you're writing the last cell also, again same format. The first one has to be the column, the second one has to be the row. Okay. And here the last cell address is F2, right? It should be F2. So if you all have your answers, please share it in the chat box so that I can refer and see whether you all have understood. So that is the address of the last cell of the cell range R1. The third one, write the cell range represented by R1. So basically they're asking how do you write the cell range for this highlighted R1, right? Now these cells have been highlighted in here. This is a range I told you all at the beginning. So how do you write the cell range for that? So when you're writing the cell range, always I told you, you don't include the cell addresses of the cells in between. That is, this cell and this cell and this cell addresses won't be included. Instead, only the cell address of the first cell and the cell address of the last cell is included, right? So that is how you write any cell range, right? So in here, the first cell is B2. The last one is F2. Okay. And in between, you will put this colon like thing. So this is going to be your cell range, right? B2 to F2. Next one, write the cell range represented by R2. Now this is R2 here, right? So I can see the answers coming in the chat box. Very good. Most of you have given the correct answers. So the cell range for R2 is going to be H. Again, I don't have to tell you all column and rows. I'm just directly going to go to the cell addresses. H1, right? And from H1, the first cell till the last cell. You're not going to include any other cell addresses in between. That's all. H1 to H7. That is going to be your cell range. Now the third one, what is the name of the cell range along a row? What is the name of the cell range along a row? What is it called? Can one of you all drop the answer for that? It doesn't have a specific name. Like, you all can drop your answers for that. Okay, so your answer for that is going to be for R1. Yes, what is the name of the cell range along the row? That is R1. That is going to be horizontal cell range along the row. That is basically they're asking this. Okay. And the second one for this, what is the vertical cell range here? What is the one that is along the column? It is vertical, right? Vertical cell range. So depending on the way it is positioned, if it is positioned like this, then it is vertical. This is horizontal. Okay, so that's why that is only what you need to write there. Now the next one, what is the cell range represented by R3? Now here this is R3 is a little special. Now it's not going to be a continuous highlighting of one row or a column or a cell, a number of cells in a column or number of cells in a row. In here, they have highlighted the cells of many columns and many rows. So how are you going to write that? Similar to this same pattern, first and last. So in here, in this cell range R3, this cell address and this cell address is only going to be written. The ones in between, those cell addresses won't be written. Okay, so the ones I marked in the lines like this, okay, those cell addresses won't be written. Only the first cell, only this cell address, only this one, and the last cell address will be written. Okay, simple as that. So your answer is going to be for this one, it's going to be C5 colon E7. That's what your cell range for R3 is going to be. Only this cell and this cell. The cells in between is not written. In this cell, sort of a cell range, this is the first and the last cell. So those addresses only you write it. In when you come to this sort of a range, like the R1 range, this is the first cell, this is the last cell. So those two addresses only. So that's all with the cell ranges, how you write the cell ranges, how you write a cell address. And last one, give the number of cells in the cell range represented by R3. How many cells do you have in R3? Okay, again, 3 here, 6, 6 plus 3, 9. So that's going to be, the last answer is going to be 9. The number of cells in the range cell 3. So your answer is 9. So till that part clear for you all, how to write a cell address, how to write a cell range, and how to identify what is the first cell and the last cell when you're writing the cell range, right? So that is clear for you all. Now I'm going to go to the next part. The next part is the most important part in here. Now, when it comes to formulas, formulas begins with this sort of a sign called equal sign. So formulas are usually used to to do some sort of a calculation in Excel, right? Instead of typing the values repeatedly, we use the cell addresses to form the formula. We don't use the value in the particular cell. Now, for example, cell A1 in this formula, in this image that they have given cell, in this formula, they have given the first cell address is A1 plus B1, right? Instead of using the direct values, what are we doing? We are using the cell addresses. So that is the speciality of formulas. Formulas don't directly use values to calculate or to perform a function in order to get the relevant output in the cell. Instead, it uses the cell addresses, right? That is how it finds out. So even if you put numbers also, no problem, it will still calculate. But usually when we use the formulas, we use cell addresses only. So when you're writing the formula, always remember, when you write it in the particular cell where you're going to find the output or in the formula bar, your formula has to always start with the equal sign, and it always starts from your left. You can't put the equal sign after the this one. So you can't put a1 plus b1 equals. You can't do like that. It should, the equal sign should be before, right? So that is how you write the formula. Now whenever it comes to a formula, I told you we do a lot of calculations, a lot of operations. So in Excel, we have the following operators. For example, brackets. This is called power. Like for example, 2 to the power 2, 2 to the power 3, right? In other terms, we call the power as exponentiation, right? So this exponentiation is this power, right? This part. And then we have multiplication. Multiplication is actually a star sign, and division and addition and subtraction. Now I have ordered these mathematical operators for you to easily remember, right? Now if for your exam you're not going to be able to practically find the values or find the answers for the formulas, you'll have to solve it by yourself and only find the formulas, find the answers for those cells, right? So in that way, when you look here, you need to know the order in which the operation is done. For example, look at here, question number 2, right? Now I have given a number of formulas. I'm telling you to use this example of this Excel spreadsheet and to solve this and find the answers for this, right? Now, we'll do it manually. We're not going to use the Excel. Now in here, you can see they have given A3 plus C3 minus B3. Now you have two mathematical operators here. Now according to an odd only, you have to do this formula and get the value for it. You can't do plus, minus, and if say if there's multiplication, right, in that order, right, you can't do it according to the order you want, or Excel will not do it according to the order in which this particular formula sum is in, right? So what it does is there is a particular order in which the formula is being solved in order to find the value, right? So in here, when you look at this formula given as an example to find the value, now A3 plus C3 minus B3. So what are you going to do first? Addition or subtraction? So let's come back to the order in here. So according to the operator's order, addition and subtraction comes last, right? And before this addition and subtraction mathematical operators, we don't have any other operators, or the division or multiplication or exponentiation or brackets. We don't have any of it. So it is easy for us. We can simply solve this and find the answer for it, right? If suppose before addition and subtraction, if there was another operator. Say I have added the multiplication operator and I put cell C 2. Okay. I'm telling you this. So there is 4 here. Remember, it's going to be like this. A3 plus C3 minus B3, and I am going to multiply it by C, C2, right? Now, when you look at this formula, when you're going to solve this sort of a formula, you have to remember, according to the operator's order, multiplication is done first before addition or subtraction, right? So first you need to do this calculation. That is B3, a moment, minus B3. So B3 multiplied by C2, that two values you need to multiply it first, and then only you must solve the addition and subtraction calculations, right? So this is the order you need to follow when solving formulas. You need to first look at a formula, right? You need to look at a formula first and see what operator should be solved first, what calculation should be done first based on the operator's order, and solve that first and then go in the next order. Now in here, multiplication is in before addition and subtraction. So we must do the multiplication sum here first and then only go to addition and subtraction. So remember, each of these cells have values. Now what I am going to do is I'm going to solve each of these formulas for you and show how we are going to get the um, values, right? Okay. Now let's look at this part. Now A3 plus C3 minus B3. Now A3, remember, it's denoting the values. In formula, I told you we don't use the direct values, we use the cell addresses only to find the values. Now A3 in here is 2.5. Okay. A3 in here is 2.5 plus, we're going to replace that. 2.5 plus C3 is again 2.5 minus B3. What is B3's value in here? B1, 2, 3, 9. Right? So you're going to go in the same order. There is no change for plus and addition and subtraction. Either you do addition first or subtraction, you will get the same value. So I'm just going in the same order the operators have been given in the formula. So 2.5 plus 2.5 is 5. Okay. 5 minus 9, you will find how much? Minus 4. Okay. So your final answer for solving this formula is minus 4. Same like that, we'll do it for the others also. Now A1, what is the value of A1? 2. Again, we have multiplication. So multiply B3. B3, the value is 9 into, sorry, divided by B1. B1, you have the value 2. Right? So when you solve this, you will get the answer 6. Right? 9, 2 nines are 18. 18 into 2. Yes, you go with, wait, let me check the values. 9 2s are 18. Should be 3 now. B1, yeah, it should be 3. 9 2s are 18. 18 divided by 3, you will get 6. So that is there. So that's the answer for the second formula is 6. You just simply have to substitute the values for the cell addresses, find the answer. When you're finding the answer, make sure you check the operator's order. Now in the first and second one, we didn't have any sort of a problem. Why? Because these operators are in the same level and same range. Now look at the third one. You have multiple operators here. Now A1 is 2. Okay. Exponentiation, power. Okay. Now when it comes to exponentiation, it's the same thing, but I'll just leave the power up and put the ones in the bracket. That is B1 into B1. B1 into B1 means 3. Both the values are 3. Okay. Now here, when you're finding the answer for this, you need to, now power is here. This is power, right? So first you can't immediately go and solve the power. First you need to solve what is in the brackets. Why? Because according to the order of solving, brackets comes first. So whatever is inside the brackets only should be solved. So when you solve that, you will get to the power 9. So your answer 2 to the power 9. I'll just write power 9 because I don't have the power option. The answer is going to be 512. Right? First you do what is in the bracket and then you further do the exponentiation. Why? Brackets comes first, exponentiation comes second. So according to that order only you have to do. Then the next one, you have A2 plus B2 minus C2. That is also simple. I'll make it a little bit difficult. You can get negative answers as values also. Like the first one, we got a negative answer, minus 4. And you can even get decimal answers also for your formulas. So it depends on what values are being added from those cell addresses, right? If it is a negative value, then there are chances negative answers can come. If you add a decimal point answer, then you can get like that, right? So now A2, we'll do the last one. A2, the value is 2 plus B2 minus C2. Now B2 is 24 minus C2 is 25. So your answer is going to be here when you're doing this, uh, your answer is going to be 24 plus 2, 26, right? It's 26, and 26 minus 25, how much? C2. 26 minus 25, 2, 8, 2, 8, 2, no, it should be 23, sorry. Here, 8, 2, 23 minus 47, 47, and you will get finally 20. 22 or 23, the answer. You will get 22, not 23. Okay, your answer should be 22. So this is how you solve it. It's a little complicated when you get a lot of other calculations. The ones that I've given is very simple. So you all can, in your textbook, you have enough and more. In your past papers also, past paper questions also, you have a lot of these formulas that they will ask you to solve and find their value for. So you all can practice that. This is just a small one, a little bit that I give, right? And there are times where they give values instead of cell addresses also. That also you have to be able to you have to be able to solve it. Now here I gave the cell address. You have to use the spreadsheet to find the value in that particular cell address and solve it and get the answer, right? But there are times where directly values are being put like this. So at that time you can directly solve. If you're given cell addresses, first you need to find the value of that relevant cell address, and then you have to solve it, right? So that is about formulas. And under formulas, another important part is this functions. Now I told you to find to do calculations, to make calculations much more easier, you have certain functions. For example, like the sum function, average, maximum function, minimum, and count. So sum is in order to find the total number. By calculating all the values of the cell, you use this value called sum. So similar to addition only, the same function of addition is only done by this sum function, right? So when you're writing the formula, you're going to write it. Okay, you're going to write it equals of, say, I'm going to find the value of each of these cells in here, A1, B1, and C1. So I'm going to write sum, open bracket. Either I can use the value 2 plus 3 plus 4. Okay, I can write this in the cell and give this as a commandment for the Excel to find the value of this, right? Now we are going to find the value in D, right? We are going to add these three values and find the value of D in D. That's why I'm writing the formula like this. Either you can write the values directly, or there's another way you can write the cell addresses, right? So in here, the address of the value 2 is A1. The second one you have value 3, what's the cell address? B1, and you can go as C1. Okay, so either you can add like this, but the easiest way for any, if you have more than three values, now they say that you have to sum up 20 values, then in that case there is no point just writing A1, B1, C1, D1 like that. There's no point writing cell addresses. So in order to make work easier, what you do is similar to how we wrote the cell ranges. We write the first cell address and the last cell. For example, say here it is C1. Now if it is like 20 values, we are going to sum up 20 values. Say it's the last value is, say, in the cell called H1, right? So that address only we will write in here. Now when I add this in the cell, and try to find the answer, I can find it easily. I'm not going to write the cell address of every cell. Instead, I'm going to write the cell address of the first cell till the last cell in order for me to get the total for the values by adding, right? So sum is basically the function is addition of the values contained in a range of cells, right? Yes. So that is there. Average is also similar to that. Average in a range of cells. If you want to find the average, same function, use the equal sign, but here you will use the word average, right? Similar to the previous example. Now, if you're going to find the average for these values in here, what are you going to do? Same thing. You're not going to write all the cell addresses. Just write the first and last. That's all. Just write the first and last. The first one in here is A1. um, A1. The last one is C1. And close this, and you give this commandment for the Excel will give the value, right? So sum, addition, average, also same thing. You find the average by adding and dividing it, right? So what the Excel will do is it will add the three values in each of these cells and divide it by the number of values, right? Now say it's three cells now that we're adding. So it takes 4 plus 3 plus 2 divided by the number of cells that we have asked. So that will give it as a value. Now you will understand further when we are doing the next activity. I will be showing it in the Excel. Maximum also similar to that. In a range of cells, if you want to find the maximum value, you can use the same function. I'm going to alter the same formula of the previous one. Put the value max, right? And you put the cell range. That's all. Write the cell range, first cell, last cell. So that entire whole range is considered by the Excel. From that range, whatever value is the highest value, it will denote. Now here the highest value, now A1 to C1, this whole thing is considered by Excel. Now what Excel would do is it will look into each of these cell values and find for the highest, and it will give the output as 4. The answer will, this will be 4. Why? Among these three values, 4 is the highest. Minimum, similar to that. We'll say the same example, 2, 3, and 4. Out of that, the minimum value is 2. So if you add the function min in here, you will get the answer as 2 only. If you try this in an Excel sheet, you will get these answers. Count is, you have to count the values, count the number of cells within a range of cells, right? So in this range, count the number of cells within a range of cells. That's what. Now in here, in this cell range, A1 to C1 range, the number of cells, how many cells do we have? 1, 2, 3. So when this count function is used, it counts the number of cells within a cell range. That's all. So that is about the functions. So you all have to remember the cell address. Again, I'm repeating how to write a cell address, how to write a cell range, how to do operations in the correct order. Use the mathematical operators to do, you have to do those calculations in order. So in that, brackets comes first, exponentiation comes second, the multiplication and division comes third, fourth is addition and subtraction. That's all, children, right? Yes. Now question number 3, we have this. Now I have prepared that in an Excel sheet for y'all. Now in sheet number 1, I have given the same, this one, I'll share it with y'all. Give me a moment. You all can see. Now this is the question that is being given. I will read out. You all have the tute with you, I guess. If you all don't have the tute, then check it in the group. So in under this question number 3, Okay, question number 3. The first question they are asking, write the formula in G2 to calculate the total marks by Saman Kumar. Right? So according to the question, they are asking what is the formula that should be calculated in G1. Now in here, this G1 is here, this value. They're telling you to write the relevant formula to be calculated in G1. Right? So when I'm writing the formula in G1 in here, what I'm going to do is if I want to find Saman Kumar's total number of marks, I need to add his max marks, science marks, English marks, history and Sinhala. So I told you the best function when you're totaling or you want to add something, you use the sum function. I'll erase this. It's chaotic. Okay. So what I'm going to use? I'm going to use the sum function, SUM function. And remember, we are not going to write the cell address of each cell. We are simply going to write the cell address of the first cell and the last cell only. The Excel sheet will identify it. Now you will see while I'm doing it, it will highlight, right? So the first max cell, the number 54 marks, from 54 to 74, we have to add. So you have to write the cell address of the cell that I'm going to put. That is the first cell. What is the cell address of the value 54? That is B2. And the last one, which is Sinhala subject, the cell address of that is, the marks of it is 74. So if I want to write the 74 number, I have to write its address. So the address of that is F2. Right? Now when I do it and I press enter, you will get the value 338. So what Excel has done is I gave it that particular cell range. When I gave that range, it highlighted all the marks that should be added and gave me the final output as 338. So the formula that should be written in the cell G2 is this formula, equal sign sum B2 to F2. That's your answer, right? That is the first question's answer. I'll write it on the document as well. So your answer is going to be B sum B2 to sum equals B2 to F2, right? F2. So that is going to be that. So I'm not going to use the Excel sheet further. You all can see, right? Whenever I gave that particular, this one commandment for the Excel, right? When I referred to that cell range, that entire whole cell range was highlighted. So the Excel used the sum function to total it, right? Yes. So now the second one, write the formula in H2 to calculate the average score by Saman Kumar. Again, the same person, Saman Kumara. They're telling you to find the value of average. In order to find that value, what is the formula that should be written in that particular cell? So when you're in the question itself, they're asking for the average. So your function that you need to use is average. Open the brackets. So you're going to use the total here. There are two ways you can do this. Either you use the total and divide it by the number of subjects, or you can use the same cell range that we used previously and find the answer, right? So I'll write two answers for it. Both these answers are correct. So the first answer I'm going to write is, I'm going to get the total value. You remember in the Excel sheet, the total value was 338. So instead of writing the value, I'm writing the cell address of that value here. Now the answer we found here is 338. Remember, we can use 338 and divide it by the number of subjects 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and get the average. Or else we can use this previous cell range, right? How previously from B2 to F2, and you can find the average. So two ways to write the answer for this, right? So I'll write the first one. Total, so total cell address is the 338 value cell address is G2 divided by the number of subjects 5. If you do that, you will get this answer called 67.6. If you want, I will do it on the Excel sheet for you all and show. But I can't come back and forth. That's why that is, but you will get this value. Well, if you want, you can try it and see. The second way of writing that same formula is average. Okay, average. Open the brackets and you can use this previous question cell range. That is from B2, right? B2, it is this one, to F2. You can use that also. Two ways of writing the answer. See, it's not one way, two ways. Both answers are acceptable. B2 to F2. If you give this formula also, you will still get the average value, right? So two ways, either you can use the total and divide it by the number of subjects, or you can give the cell range and find the average for it. So that's all with that. So that's the answer for the second one. It has two answers, right? Yes. So now the third one, write the formula in B9 to find out the highest score obtained for mathematics. Now where is this mathematics group? Here. They're asking to find the highest score, means maximum mark. Out of these marks, who has got the maximum mark? Now, are you going to give the answer for it directly? No. You're going to use the formula method here. So I told you when you're finding the maximum, you use this function called the max, right? Max. Same thing here, you're going to use cell range, right? So you want from Saman Kumar to Jayani Sarang, right? So you need all their marks to find out the highest mark. So what are you going to do basically? You're not going to write all the cell addresses, just the cell address of the first one and the last person. So here B2 is the first person's mark, right? B2 till B7. So that's going to be your answer. When you give this formula, your Excel will identify the relevant cells, the values in that relevant cells, and find the highest value. And the answer is going to be out of this, the highest value is 78. It is the answer. That's the output. I'm giving you the output as well. You all don't need to write the output. When they ask you to write the formula, just write the formula with the function and the cell range. Just write it like this, right? Just write it like this. Equal sign should be there, function should be there, particular cell range also should be there. You don't have to write the output. Okay, if you write the output, uh, it's not wrong, but better not write the output because they are clearly asking only the formula. Okay, now the next one, write the formula in B10 to find the lowest score obtained by the students in each subject. Similar to that, only minimum value only they're asking. So the function you will use to find the lowest value or the smallest value is this function called min, right? So min, same thing from the max marks only there. For each subject they're asking. Now we can't find for each subject because why? The formula may vary, right? Now we'll start with max. I'll just do two subjects for you all and so show. So for in max, same cell range only we are going to use from B2 to B7. Right? So from here to here. From that, you're giving a command to Excel, find the lowest value. So if you give this formula, your output is going to be what? Equals to 54. That is the lowest value from the lowest marks from the marks that is given in that particular cell range. So this is for maths, right? For maths that we wrote. Now they, in the question it asks for all the subjects. I'm just going to do for two of the subjects only. Now second one, say if it's science, okay, science, same thing again, equal sign, write it here, equals equal sign, min and cell range. So in here, what's the cell range? From here to here, you have to get use the marks. You're not going to write all the cell addresses, just the cell address of the first one and the last one. So in here, uh, your answers for science is going to be from C2, that is the address of the first cell, till C7, right? See, you can see the change. So it changes. So you're not going to write all the cell addresses, just the cell address of the first and the last. For English also same thing. What you're going to write? The cell address of the first one. It's 51. Okay, that cell address is D2. Again D7. History E2 to E7. Sinhala F2 to F7. So for each subject they have asked, I just did it for two subjects. You can use this also. There are other ways of doing it. You can use all the values and put all the cell addresses and also do that. There is another way of writing the formula. I'll just tell it to you so you can use that. You can either use like this, children. You can use the min function. This is a very lengthy way. This is a hard way. And you can put the cell address of every single cell. Like say now max marks, I'm going to write the cell address of all the people's marks. Now for example, it's not going to be the first one. It's going to be first. The second one is B3, like that, comma B4, B5, B6, B5, B6, B7. What is denoted in between is the commas. You can use this also to find the minimum function, right? So this is also another way of writing the formula for minimum or maximum or sum, average. You can do like this also. But the easiest way is we teach you to use cell range only mostly. Cell range is very easy. Just the first address of the first cell and the address of the last cell. So that is about that, right? So B10, the answer for this question, I have put it on top. Then the next one, write the formula in B11 to find out the number of students present. Give me a minute. Sorry, children, uh, I had a call, so that's why I had to go. Now, again, we'll come back to where we were. B11. Now, if you want to find the value for B11, now they're asking the number of present students. Now, I told you if you want to find the number of students who are present for each subject again, I'll just do for two of the subjects. Now here they're asking how many number of students were present for maths, for science, for English, for Sinhala, right? Now you can see that for maths subject, not everyone is present, one person is absent. And in Sinhala subject, two people are absent. So in order to find that, the best function that you can use is this count function, right? So you can use the count function for that. So you use the word count, right? See, same thing, use cell range. Instead of using the cell addresses of each cell, just use cell range. Now for mathematics, to find the number of people who have attended the exam, right? You have to write the cell range from B2 to B7. B2 is the first cell address. B7 is the last cell address. So when you give this formula to um, Excel, it will give you the value as 5. Okay. Although there are six people in this, six people's name in here, only 5 people have sat for the exam and they have got marks. In here, the fifth person, Mif Raj, is absent. So the Excel identifies that correctly and avoids counting that person and counts all the other people and gives you the output as 5, right? I'm teaching it to you with the output so that you know how to get it, right? Yes. So the next one for the subject, say Sinhala. Instead of going to science, we'll go to Sinhala. Sinhala, 2 people are absent. Same function, count, write the cell range. That's all. So cell range for Sinhala, you have to consider this, right? This whole people. So that is from F2 to F7. That's all. F2 to F7. F2 to F7. Right? So F2 to F7 is Sinhala. Now the Sinhala count, okay, the formula that you're going to use for Sinhala. Now when you give this formula to Excel, when it checks the formula and starts to execute that, it will count the number of people who have sat for the single exam. Now here the number of people who have sat and scored marks is 4 and 2 people are absent. So what does Excel do? It will identify whoever who has not sat for the exam, avoid counting those people and count the rest of the other people. So your output that Excel will give when you put this function is 4. That's all. Clear till that part for y'all? Now we will discuss the other questions as well, right? Um, the other one is not that hard, but I have to explain with related to cell reference. I hope everything is clear for you so far till now. Everyone in the meeting? Yeah, you all have sent the answers also. Okay, good. Very good. Yeah. Okay, now we'll go to the next part. That is past paper questions. I have added a Western Province past paper question. Before we go to Western Province past paper question, you need to know about what cell reference is, absolute cell reference is, right? Now, I have this Excel sheet that I'm going to forward to you in order to explain those two concepts. Let me share that. Okay, now I will go to, okay, now here, now this absolute cell reference and absolute cell reference is used for copying down formulas, right? Now see, uh, I okay. Now absolute cell reference um, is where you copy a particular formula and use that same formula to find the total. Now, for example, to find this total of the price of the pen, I need to add the price value with the quantity to find the total. So that I'm going to use the simple formula. Either you can use sum or you can use the cell addresses. I'm using the cell addresses here because I'm going to show you how cell reference takes place, right? Now here I'm going to add the price of the pen. One pen, it's 50 rupees, and the quantity is 2. That means one person, say example a person, that person has ordered 2 pens and the price of one pen is 50. Now, in order to find the total of that, I am going to use this formula. I'm not going to use any function here. I'm just going to use the cell addresses to get the total. So here, B2 into C2, right? So when I do that, I'm getting this value called 100, right? It's not a sum, it's not addition, it is multiplication. Why? The price of one pen is 50. In order to find the price of two pens that that particular person has ordered, I have to multiply it. Now, let's say, now I'm going to drag this value here. Now see what happened. I didn't use formulas here. I just drag the value and I scrolled it and the value suddenly changed, right? Now what happens, what Excel has done to find this value called 90, it has used something called cell reference. Cell reference is where you use the same function. Now here the same function in here is multiplication. It's using the same function in order to find the value of this cell by multiplying this value and this value, right? Not this and this and this. In order to find the value of a pencil, you can't add the value of give me a minute, why is this? Okay. In order to find the value of the pencil, there is no point using the previous formula. So when you copy down this formula, what happens? The functionality of that formula does not change. That multiplication operation does not change. Instead, the cell addresses only change. Now, we look at this value called 90. So what has happened? Look at the formula bar here. This formula bar, first for 100, it was B2 to C2. But when it came to this value, when it came to this value 90, it has become B3 to C3. This is only absolute, this is only cell reference. Right? Copying the same formula, when you copy the same formula, the cell addresses change, but the functionality of that cell does not change. That's all, children. Right? This is called cell reference. So next time, now say I'll change the value of this. I'll erase the previous. Okay, this is called, now see, I'm changing the price of one pen into, say, I'll add another, I'll change this discount, I'll delete this part called discount value, right? I'm adding a new, this one called pencils will take eraser. Keep it as 50, the first one. Eraser, again, eraser, the value of an eraser is 10. The price of one eraser is 10. A person has ordered 6 erasers. Now, I'm not going to use type the own formula here. Instead, I'm just going to drag it down. Now what has happened? 60, right? The functionality of it has not changed, but the cell addresses have changed. Why? Because according to Excel, Excel can't use the cell addresses of the previous cell. It has to use the current cell to find the value, right? So like that, only this cell reference is used, copying down the formula and finding the value without changing its functionality. And the cell addresses only change, that's all, right? So that is with cell reference. Now, absolute cell reference is a little different, right? Now, absolute cell reference, say I am going to add a discount to this pencil amount. I'm deleting this, okay? I'm going to add a discount to this pencil amount. Now, I want to tell Excel, you use the discount that I have given here, right? You use the discount that I have given here. So how do you tell that to Excel? Now I'm going to find the discount price of this price pencil, right? Now initially when we found the total of two pencils value, it was 100. Instead of putting 100, we'll use formula. Okay, we'll use formula of 100 itself, because I can't add the value here. So I'm going to find the value for E2, equal sign. So this value called 100, right? I'm going to add D2. I'm going to write D2, and I'm going to make this D2 have a discount, right? I'm going to add this discount price. Now in here, when I'm adding the discount, I'm going to use this symbol called the dollar sign. This is called a lock sign. This lock sign is being used in order to tell Excel, don't change the value of the discount. You must use that value of the discount constantly. It's a constant value. You cannot change that, right? So when I'm doing that, I'm going to use this dollar sign on where? The row, right? It's going to be like this. I don't know whether they all can understand. Might be with the formula, I can teach you all, but I'm giving out my best, okay? So B2, B dollar sign 2, right? Uh, yeah. So you'll get the discount as 1000. It's not multiplied, you should divide that. Divide, okay? The answer you will get 10. So when the total quantity is divided by the discount, you get this answer as 10. So this reason why we are using this dollar sign in front of the row is to make sure the Excel does not change the discount, right? The discount should be a constant value. So that's why in order to lock that, to make sure to correctly specify Excel, you use this discount, we use the lock sign in front of the row number. But the column B, it it's not locked, right? You can also put a lock sign for that and tell you use this. But in here, we are just using it for to make sure that discount is denoted. So the discount is correctly in row number 5. So you have to denote the row and only place that lock sign. In front of that row only you have to place a lock sign. There is no point placing the sign, this dollar-like sign in front of the column. So remember, column, row, right? Here I have placed this dollar sign or lock sign in front of the row in order to make sure Excel identifies it. Now same thing I'm going to use to copy it. Now what happens? 9. So look at the formula, what has happened? Same formula, functionality division is also the same. B5 is same, it's constant, it hasn't changed, but D3 has changed, right? So when you go across like this, when you go across like this, children, the column cell address has changed to D3. Previously, for this, to get the output of this, it was D2, remember, right? So when I found the formula for the pencil, the discount value for the pencil, that changed from D2 to D3, right? So this is the change that the absolute cell reference does. It just does not change the discount value. Instead, it changes the D3, the cell address. Why? Because we are not finding we can't use D2 here. Children, we can't use D2 here because we are not finding it for the pen. We are finding it for the pencil. So the value that should be used here is this value. So that value is in D3. So that's why it changes. Now again, I'll say I'm dragging that same cell reference, I'm copying that same formula, right? Give me a minute. Say I'm copying this down again to find the discount value for the eraser, 6, right? So when this 60 value is basically divided by 10 and you get the discounted value as 6, right? So again, we look at the formula that is given in the formula bar. It has changed from D4 to D4. Previously under this, it was, why is this glitching? Uh, Wait. Okay. Now previously it was D3, right? Now when it came to this, to find the value of this, it has become D4. So the column has changed, but this value has become constant, right? So the discounted value is constant. In order to make sure Excel uses that value, we use this symbol called log sign. This is called as absolute cell reference. Clear for you all of you all? We will do questions, you will understand further. No worries. Clear? Quickly put a thumbs up. Little difficult, but when doing questions, it will be clear for you. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to share the questions with you all and we'll do the question and you will be able to understand better. Okay, now they are asking what is the formula to be written in cell C2? Okay, what is the formula that should be written in cell C1, C2? Okay, in here to find this value 25.14, what is the formula that should be written in C2 to find the circumference for circle A? Now circle A is this one. To find that circle circumference to get this particular value, what is the formula that should be entered? Now they have given circumference of the circle. That formula they have given here 2 into pi into r. Right? They have given it as 2 into pi into r. Note that the circumference should also be calculated in circles B and C using this formula. Same thing, right? Now they're saying, okay, now the circumference of circle A is already calculated. You're going to use that same formula to calculate it for circle B and circle C. So how do you write that formula for circle B and C? That is what they are asking. Now they have given 4 options for circle B and C. The answers, can you all share? Can one of you share the answers? Some of you have said 2, right? 2. What about the others? Now, if I am going to use the formula that they have given is 2 into pi into r. Okay. So if I'm going to write the circumference of circle B, my formula that I'm going to write to find that circumference is going to be 2 into pi. Now here, look at here. Pi, they have given a value for pi. I told you when it comes to copying formulas, when Excel copies it, it doesn't take the value directly. We must give that particular cell address of it, right? So you have to keep it constant. So the cell address of pi, we are going to use it as a constant value. Then if you are going to use it as a constant value, you must use the log sign, right? Now in here, the column is not being locked. The row only should be locked, right? The log sign should be given to the row. That means 7 in front of 7 only. Now row number 7, in front of row number 7 only you need to place the log sign. There is no point placing it in front of B, because why? We have to specifically say that you have to, the Excel must use the value in row number 7. So when you're writing the uh, absolute cell reference, when you're writing that constant value cell address, what you're going to do is you're going to write the cell address of the pi value, that is B7. Okay, write it like this, B7, right? Now I want it to be constant. I want to tell Excel you must use this value. So what I'm going to do, in which row is that value? Directly in row number 7. So in front of row number 7, I'm going to put this lock sign. So when I put this lock sign, what does the Excel do? It will come directly like this. It will check in row number column B, right? It will go to row number 7, okay? And it will see the value and it will fix that this value only should be used for pi. So when it fixes that in the formula, that value only will be used for pi. And after that, you have a circumference of circle B, that is 8. So what is the cell address of that value 8? The answer is going to be B. They have told to find circle A, no, first. Yes, so it should be B2. Okay, not circle B, not this. Okay, they have told to find C2, no? C2 means that is the value of this one. So you have to write 2 into the the pi value, that is this, with the log sign, and where should this formula be done? That means which value should be used? That is B2. So this doesn't have any log sign, only the constant value which Excel must use without changing, that only has this log sign. Okay, it's called the log sign. I'm not going to say the dollar sign, we'll call it as the log sign, right? Yeah. So the answer for this question number 13 is 2. So it's be that they're asking what is the formula that should be written in cell C2, what should be written in here, right? So 2 into the constant value of pi that you have written here, and the radius of that circle A is 4. So the cell address of that value is B2. You write B2 here, that's all. So with that, that is done. The answer is second one. Now, question number 14. If the circumference obtained for circle A above was copied to cell C4 again, okay? If this circumference value, I'll erase this completely, okay? If this circumference value in circle A, if this circumference value is circle A, the formula in this, now the formula in this we found is this one, right? If this particular formula is dragged down and copied, I showed you, know, when you drag down, the value changes, right? They're asking to cell C4, what should be the answer? That means what is going to be the answer here? I told you when you're moving across, what changes? The column, right? Column is only changing. When you move across, when you move down, your column, this one only changes. When you move across, the row number changes. Row changes. When you move down, the column changes. Now here, your answer is going to be, first, the formula should start with equal sign. 2, right? We're using this formula here. 2. And the pi sign is constant, that never changes because we are using pi sign 2 into pi into r, no? So the pi value is constant. So that will be B log sign 7, that won't change. And here your this one has to change to B4, right? So B4. So you can see here the row has changed. And here the column has, the previous one we studied how the columns change. In here, the row only has changed because we are going downwards. right? So it differs. Sometimes when you go downwards, the column changes. This column will change. Sometimes the row can change. So you have to, before you write the formula, you have to check, right, what is being changed in here. So the radius is B4. So fourth one is the answer. The fourth one is the answer, right? So absolute cell reference is a little confusing, but all what you need to know is this, how this log sign is being placed. Okay, and if they give you a formula, check the values for each of the cell address. Now B4, check what is B4's value, 60, right? Like that. So check like that. So it can change, it can differ. So when you're writing the formulas, you need to be careful. For as long as you identify where you need to write the log sign, the dollar sign in front of the row, in front of the column, that is enough. Now in here, we have to put it in front of the row, because if you just randomly put it in front of the column, there is no use, right? Because it's correctly, to denote it, it's correctly in row number 7. That's why. So the answer for this one is 4, right? Now 15th one, which of the following formulas can be used in cell C4 to find the minimum circumference of the spreadsheet above? Cell C5, that is here. To find the minimum value, what is the formula that can be used? Now first one, yes, it seems correct, we can use, I have used for you. Second one, C2 to C3, that is C2 to C3, okay, and C4. The second one is also correct, you can use that. Now the third one, you can't use minimum values for the yeah, third one you can, yes, third one you can. So third one, first, second, and third is correct. You can use it C2, C3, C4, putting commas in between, or you can give that range. Okay. Now two cells range, and the last cell you can put a comma, or you can give the cell address of the first one and the last one. So the answer for this is the fourth one. All of it is correct, right? So just don't confuse much about this absolute cell reference. Just you remember the cell reference, how these formulas are copied down, where the changes take place, and the minimum maximum functions. That's enough, right? So for your exam, you will be tested from everything. Uh, but this absolute cell reference, it's very less, right? But you can get questions. So be clear with that. So till that, it's clear for you all, for all of you. Okay. So that is about that. Now, non-test and paper, points paper, which of the following is the answer that shows only correct formulas out of the given spreadsheet? Can you all do this for homework and come for me? This, and this one. Yeah, you all have to do and send it to me. We want meet, right? You have to do and send it to me. I have the answers with me. I want you all to do this and send it to me personally. I will check and I will mark the answers and send it to you. So do this question number 18, 21, and this whole question. It's not that hard. Do it and send it to me tonight. Right? Yeah. So yesterday we discussed operating system. So today we won't be doing operating system. Database, I will do it at the end of the session. Now you all go take a break and come at 6:15. We will start with HTML. HTML is not that hard. We'll start with that, right? So number 18, 21, and that last big question is for uh, homework. You all can do that and get answers to me. The other questions you have to mm, do it in class, like we will do HTML in class, right? Yeah. So you'll take a break and come at 6:15, around 6:15 at that time. Okay, children. Sorry I got a little late, but I think the break time is over. You all can join back. The ones who have not joined, you can inform. Give me a minute. Give me a minute. Okay. So now we are going to start with HTML, right? So now HTML, it's very easy. It's not that hard. It's basically a type of language which is used to create web pages, including images, text, okay, different forms of multimedia. Using all these things, we create a web page. Now, how do you think these web pages that you see are visible to you? But although you see now, for example, you go to YouTube or you go to you say a nice site like Instagram and all, you have, in order to create those pictures, these things in that screen in display, what happens in the back end is there is a set of codes that are made, and these codes are only changed into pictures, posts, all these things that you see. Right? So these codes here only we call it as HTML codes. Okay, we call it as HTML language or HTML codes, you can say, right? So these are basically used to create web pages. Not only these web pages that you see on your laptop, like the Google that you use or anything, even social media web pages, at the back end, these codes are only being changed into colorful web pages with pictures, right? There is a way to check this codes. I can show it to you, but it might take some time. But if you can go to YouTube or something and see how a web page is created and how does a web page change the codes to colorful pictures that you see. Right? So these posts that you see in Instagram and YouTube, all these things in the back end, in order to convert it into colorful pictures and texts, there is a set of codes that are being created. Those codes are called as HTML codes. So these HTML codes are not case sensitive, meaning it's not like any other programming language. It's a markup language. It's not a programming language. You don't have to use specific symbols or anything like that, right? So there is certain letters like HTML, there is a opening tag, closing tag, similar to that, right? You have opening tags and closing tags only in HTML. Other than that, there is nothing that you need to capitalize or you need to use these symbols, right? So in other programming languages, you have like that, but in HTML, it's not like that. Because of that, it's called as not case sensitive, and it's a markup language used to create web pages. HTML elements tell how the browser should be displayed, right? The special thing we are going to learn under HTML is the tags. Now this is a basic, very very basic programming out code. Now I am going to write the code in order to obtain this output in a web page. In order to get this output in a web page, I'm going to write the relevant HTML code. So when it comes to HTML, we have something called HTML tags that we use, and these tags are only called as the codes, also called as codes, right? So there are different kinds of tags. Out of that, these are the four main commonly used tags. One is HTML tag, second one is head tag, third title tag, and body tag are the four commonly used tags. At the beginning of every HTML code, you will find the opening HTML tag, and these tags also, I forgot to mention, has a closing tag. In order to write the closing HTML tag, you put a slash mark in front and write the word HTML. Why do we close this? I'll tell you why. In HTML, there is a functionality that if you open a tag, if you use a particular tag, except for certain tags, there are tags called empty tags where you don't need to close them. That we'll discuss further. Now, when it comes to the basic tags like HTML tag, head tag, title tag, body tag, each of these tags have closing tags. The main reason why we have these closing tags is in order to make sure that HTML closes that relevant function. So each of these tags have a specific function. Now in the body tag, under the body tag only, all the contents of that web page will come. For example, text, images, video, audio, hyperlinks, all these things will come. If you do not type the closing tag at the end of the body, right after doing your codings. Now see, in this whole part, say you do all your codings, right? If you do not close this body tag, children, when you display it in the output, when you get the output on the web page, nothing will be displayed, right? Because why? The functionality of this body tag is, if you use this body tag, whatever is inside it should be function. At the same time, you need to close it in order to denote that after these quotes, there is nothing that should be displayed, right? So the body tag is like a closing functional tag only. The closing body tag is like a it completes that function of that particular HTML tag. So HTML has a closing tag and it's denoted with a slash in front. Head tag also same thing. Title tag also you have a closing tag. Body tag also has a closing tag. So remember, for each of these closing tags, the slash mark comes in front and then will be the name of the tag. Okay, title, body, all these things. Now, when it comes to this basic programming code, I want you all to quickly write the code in order to get this output on a web page. Now, if whenever you're starting an HTML code, you must always start with the HTML tag. That's the first tag that goes. Then in the second line, you're going to write the head tag. Usually we don't use the head tag, although the head tag is there, we don't use it. It's not mandatory, it's not compulsory for us to use the head tag. So here I'm not going to use the head tag, but I'm going to use the title tag. Now here, this title tag, children, where you can see the title in the web page. Now imagine this is the web page, right? When you create that web page, your content will be in here, in the middle. Here, this is the content. This is only called the content, right? Now on top, this part full screen, I have not taken that and attached. That's why you can't see. Now, whatever title you put in your HTML code will be displayed in the title tag. Okay, so it will be displayed in the title here. For example, now see in this coding, say I'm using the title, my first project, right? My first project, and I close the title. Remember, for the HTML tag to function, you have to use the opening tag as well as the closing tag, right? So when I use this, when this code is converted, this my first project word comes on the top of the web page in that small tab part. Okay, it will be visible in the small tab part on top. So that is where this title is going to be visible. If you don't put also, no problem, but usually whenever a web page is created, a title is also given to it. The head tag is not used much. It's not compulsory for us to use the head tag. If you don't use the head tag also, when you convert your HTML code, it does not affect in giving the output, right? You will get an output even if you don't include the head tag in your HTML code. So now, okay, now we'll go to the next one below. Now here, there are certain elements that should be, now we are only writing the codes here. Now, when it comes to Now you have AI that creates codes for web pages. Those days, back then, it was web developers. You have these people called web developers. Those people only create um, these codes to build web pages. Now people use AI only mostly to create the codes for web pages. It's replaced now. Okay. Now uh, look at this output that we have got. Now look at the first line in here. A word is being underlined, right? Second thing, the size of these letters and words have been enlarged. And look at the second line. Here it is been italicized. The font has been changed a little bit. Now, in order to include all these features and get this output, to get this sentence italicized, to get this word underlined, you have special tags in HTML apart from these four main tags. Now you have other tags like I, this I tag, it has a closing tag as well. This is used to italicize a word or a sentence or a paragraph. You can use that. And then you have bold. In order to bold in a word or a sentence, you can use the B tag. Okay, B, simple B. Yeah? You don't use capital letters here. Okay, so to bolden a particular word or sentence or whole paragraph, you can use the bold tag in your codes. Okay, only if you use these, you will obtain it in your output web page. If you don't use this, if you want this bolden effect or italicize effect, if you don't use these tags in your output, you will never get that effect, right? So that is bolded, italicize, bolding. And you have the U tag, that is underlining. If you want to underline a particular word or sentence, you use the U tag. And children, you have uh, P tag, the P one, paragraph. If you are going to include a paragraph in your codes, right? If you want to get an output of a paragraph in your web page, you use this P tag before you uh, write the sentences in the output. So paragraph is this P tag. Apart from that, you have other tags as well. Um, emphasize tag. If you want to emphasize or bolden a part, emphasize tag and bolden tag, they have the same functionality, right? So EMP, this means to emphasize, to highlight. The effect that is given by these two is the same as bolding effect, right? Emphasize tag and bold tag have the same functionality. It will highlight a word or sentence if you use it. Okay. Okay. Then you, apart from that, you have other tags, H1, H2 tags, H1 tag, H2 tag. These are all for headings. Okay. So H2, you have H3, you have H4, H5, and you have H6 tag. Okay. This H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, and H6 tags are heading tags. They have closing tags also. The functionality of this is to enlarge the size of the heading, right? So from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in this side, the size of the heading is going to reduce. So the biggest size, if you want the heading to have the biggest size, you have to use the number H1. If you want your heading to be small, okay, the smallest heading number you use is H6, right? So in this way, when you see, the size of the heading decreases, right? H1 is the biggest, H6 is the smallest. And headings are always highlighted, and you can use these numbers H1, H2 to use any type of a size heading, right? Apart from that, you have font size tag, you have font tag, you have image tags, you have hyperlinks. In order to attach hyperlinks, you have different kinds of tags. Now in for our code here, you need two tags only. One tag is three tags actually. One tag is underline tag because this word is being underlined, right? Second one, uh, you can use the heading tag, or not heading. You don't have to use a heading here, right? You can use the size tag, font size tag to make it big, right? But in here, I'm not using the font size because the coding is basic. When I'm doing advanced coding, when I show you another output, I will show how font size is being used. Now, second line, when you're using here, this whole sentence is being italicized. So you have to use the italicized tag, that is the I tag, right? So in your coding, these tags should be included in order for you to get this output in the web page, right? One is underline tag, second one is italicized tag, the other one is the BR tag, children. This is a special tag. Now I told you about empty tags. These empty tags, right? This empty tag. Okay, some of you have, now I read this message. One of them is saying if we will use AI when we study, it wouldn't be useful to learn because if we give the idea, it will auto-generate and create the code. Yeah, it is. But if but to make work easier, children, they use AI only to create codes to make web pages now. That's why ICT field nowadays, this information and communication technology fields is being replaced. The jobs in these fields are being replaced by AI, right? So most of the software engineers, they have lost a lot of jobs because of AI. If AI was not introduced, then people will still be dominating the market and software engineers will have a very good salary job. The job opportunities will be more. But what to do? AI is introduced. Now AI is replacing little by little. Now to create web pages, to create codes of these web pages, to create codes of different kinds of apps, applications, all these are done by AI only. Right? Now, let's not talk much about that, but might be, uh, if I have time, I'll talk more in detail. Now, coming back to the code that we are doing here, now we identified we need the italicized tag, and I told you about empty tags. Now, empty tags are tags that do not have a closing tag. So, under that, you all can write empty tags. Mark these empty tags down. The reason why they are called empty tags, because they don't have closing tags. They don't have closing tags, right? So under that, there are several empty tags. One is this BR tag, right? Second one, you can say image tag, right? And image tag, BR tag, and you have the href. Href has empty tag, right? It doesn't have a close. Yeah. So one is BR tag, the other one is image tag, and the last one is HR tag. This HR tag means horizontal line tag, right? Horizontal line tag, right? So that href tag, I said, it has a closing tag. That href, this href one, this is the tag that is used to attach hyperlinks. Now, if you're attaching a link of a web page, you use this href tag and you attach that link. So in that case, that href has a closing tag. The one that does not have closing tags are the BR tag, image tag, and the horizontal line tag, and finally one more input tag also, right? So these four tags, they don't have closing tags. That's why they are called as empty tags, right? So now the second thing why I told you we need this BR tag is, children, if we don't use the BR tag in our coding and we generate the code, there are chances that we are not going to get this output, this sort of output. Now, in this output, what you can see, these two sentences are outputted in two different lines. The first one is in the first line, the second one is in the second line. In order to get it in the second line, in order to get it in the second line, we must use the br tag also, right? So after writing the code for the first line, I'll show you all how we'll do that, right? So now I'll close the title tag is done. Now we'll open the body tag, right? Now I'm going to uh, write my first coding, that is the first sentence that I'm going to write. So that before you write it, you have to use the underline tag. You can't use the underline tag after the word. Okay, it should be used with the word only. So underline tag and use the word that you need to underline, this, right? Then you close the underline tag. You have to open and close it. If you don't close it, then the whole sentence will be underlined. In here, in output, only one word is requires underlining. So we use it only for that particular word. So in between this, in between that particular word, we use the underline tag. The rest is, you can type the other words, is bold. This is bold, right? So this is bold. Now, I told you if you don't use this BR tag, the two sentences will be outputted in the same line. So, either you can use the BR tag in here, or you can use the BR tag in the next line when you're writing the second sentence code, right? Either you can use it here or you can use it here, but you can't use it in both places, right? So now I'm using it in the second line, because why? Now, when the HTML code is changed, what happens? A break is left. Now this sentence is written, that it's outputted, and next what happens? It breaks that and outputs the second line in a separate. It's not going to output in the same line. It's going to separate and output it in the second line, right? So the second one, for that, before the second output starts itself, I'm putting the BR tag, right? You can't put it after. So next tag that I'm going to use is this italicized tag. Why? Because I want the second sentence to be italicized completely. So I'm going to write, this is my web page. The entire whole thing is italicized. And I close the italicized tag. If I don't close it, that function won't be, that effect won't be shown in the output, right? Yes. Now this is done. Now, do I have anything else that I need to output according to the display? Do I have anything else? No, right? So in that case, I'm just going to close the body. Okay, I'm going to close the body, because after that I have nothing, and close the HTML. When I do that, I will get this output. When I execute this code, I will get this output directly. Right? So I have done that code also. Yeah. So when I execute this code, I will get the output like this. Okay. So this is about the output that you get. So remember these tags: italicize, bold, underline, paragraph, emphasize. You have subscript, superscript also. Subscript and superscript is used for powers, right? That also you can write it down. I'll just write it for you here. Subscript and superscript. Subscript closing tag. This is to get that power, the 2 to the power 6 or something like that. If your code in your output, if you want this sort of a value, you need to use that like this. Show you all an example. Sub, sorry, not this. It's going to be 2 sub 6 closing sub this one. This is how it's going to do. In your code, if you want this output, if you want this 2 to the power 6 output, you have to use this sub tag. Okay, it's called a subscript tag in order to get it like this, right? 2 to the power 6. The power value should be a little up than the this 2, right? So in order to get that, in between 6 only, you use the sub this one, right? So superscript is the opposite of it. Superscript is also similar to that, right? Superscript. So it goes as SUP, SUP tag, and it has a closing tag also, right? So these are the regular tags that are being used in HTML. Apart from that, you have list tag also, ordered list, unordered list. That is very important. Lists are divided into two types, children. I am not. The next question is not related to lists. That's why I'm quickly listing down for you all, and we are running out of time also. So superscript, subscript. Give me a minute. One of you had asked the doubt. It should be superscript, yes. Okay, the tag here should be superscript. Superscript, super, no? I got a little confused, that's all. Okay, the other subscript is, it should be used like this. Now, if you want an output like this in your, if you want an output like this, in mathematics, you have like this x into the power comes down. If you want like that, you will use subscript. Okay, you will use this subscript only. If you want superscript is used for this. I got a little confused. Other than that, this one is concept is clear. You have to put it in between only. If you want the power to be above, you use superscript. If you want the power to be below, you use subscript, right? So in between, whatever value you want to bring down, only you place it there, right? Yeah. So other than that, that is subscript, superscript. Lists, back to lists. Now lists are divided into two types. One is ordered list, unordered list. Unordered list, starting with unordered list. Unordered lists are basically, say, I'll just use the text here. Okay. Unordered list, they are basically letters and numbers. Letters. So unordered list. Ordered, unordered. Unordered is disk, circle, and this one. So the ordered list is only list and numbers. It is numbers and letters. And letters. So under that, you have these default letters, capital A, if you want capital A, right? For example, say you want it like this, A is juice or something like that, right? So if you want to get A is juice, like that, continue. B is say coffee, like that. If you are going to use ordered list for that, right? You can use numbers also, number 1, 2, like that also you can use, and even Roman number 1 and 2 also you can get it like that as well. So either 1 juice, the second one to coffee, like that, right? If you want lists with numbers, you have to use this ordered list. Whenever you're writing the HTML code, first you need to list down what sort of a list type you need. You have to use the OL tag for that, right? Ordered list tag. Under that, you have to use the list tag for each item that you want to enter. For example, use the list tag juice in here, close that list tag. List tags have closing tags, like that. coffee, you can use list and coffee. Now here, now I haven't specified what sort of, whether I need A or one or number two, I have not specified. So the when you don't specify in HTML, specify what type of ordered list you need, by default children, the ordered list is going to be one. Right? So if you don't include also in your output, it's going to come like this: one juice, two coffee, like that. That is default. Default means it's automatically set like that. Right? If you specify, say OL type equals, you have to put it under quotations, A. Then when you get the output, it's going to come like this: A juice, B coffee. Right? Or you use Roman number, one. Then it will come as Roman number one, Roman number two, A juice, second one coffee. So ordered list is including with numbers and letters, A, capital A, one, Roman number one. Right? That's how it's going to be. Unordered list is denoted in three ways: disk, circle, right, and square. Right? So disk, circle, and square. Disk is like this. It's colored inside. Circle is empty. Square is in a square. These are all bullet points. You all have heard, no? Bullet points is square bullet point. So in your unordered list, when you're writing in the coding, if you don't include what type of unordered list you want, whether you want a disk or circle or square, by default what comes is this circle unordered list type only comes. If you don't include, now here I have include as Roman number one. So when your output comes, it comes as Roman number one, juice. Roman number two, coffee. It goes in that one. Now, in here, if you don't, if no, in both cases, if you don't include that, for ordered list, it's going to be one. For unordered list, it's going to be the circle bullet, right? The circle type, right? So understand that default means automatically set by HTML. If you specify, then HTML will use it, right? So that is it with ordered list and unordered list. So that is clear for you all. I have cleared almost most of it. Next, now we have this definition tags. We call them as definition tags. So definition tags can be divided into three. The first one, definition list tag, that we use at the beginning. Second one, definition tag. Third one, definition list definition tag. Right? Now here, definition list, we use it at the beginning. Definition tag, we use it to define something. Now HTML is the topic. In here, see, HTML is a markup language. This has been defined in here. So that's why it's called definition list definition tag, or definition tag, right? So here they have given the particular topic, and here they have defined what it is. So when you're using like that to include a topic or to include that relevant data, you use the definition tag first, right? When you're defining what it is, you're going to use the definition list definition tag, right? So this is how this coding goes. Now they're asking what is the output that you're going to get if you execute this code. Now remember children, there is a speciality about this definition list tag. Your output is going to look like something like this: HTML space, a little bit of a space. Draw it here, will you? The code, then you can see HTML is a HTML is a markup language, right? Likewise, Java, I'll explain why it is coming to the site. This is how the output comes when you use definition list tags. Okay, is a programming language. And last one, SQL is a query language. All must have studied about examples for each of this language. Query language. Now when you execute this top code in here, you will get this sort of an output only, right? So see, by default, now I told you if you want to go to the next line, you need to use the break tag, right? Now in this case, you don't need to use the break tag. You don't need to use the break tag. Why? It is something that is being defined. So HTML is the topic and something that is being defined. So HTML, when the code is being converted into the output, it identifies that this is a definition. So it automatically puts that second line to be in the second row, right? So it will come in the next line, and it doesn't come under the HTML word, it comes, might be closer to it, right? A little after giving some space, it comes after that. If you do this coding and you see in your notepad, you will get this sort of an output only, right? For Java also same thing, SQL also same thing. See, the automatically it has gone to the second line, right? If you do this with other, now instead of HTML, if you put something like coffee, and you say under the definition part, you say it is a hot drink, and you change all the contents in this code and use this same tags, you will get this sort of an output only. The first one will be the topic, this in the second line only the definition will be given, right, with a small space. So that is about these definition tags. So the coding for this, answer for the second one is this, right? You all can write it down. Now finally, last one, uh, identifying these tags for the question in here, right? Identifying the tags for the question in here. So all this time I was teaching you all tags. Now you all have to be able to identify according to the question what it is. Now they have given the list in here. Title H2, underline tag H2 is heading tag in the size of 2. A list tag table, table row, table heading, table data, image tag, image source, center tag, and a. Now here center tag, you have, if you want to bring a content or a heading or something in the center, you can use the center tag in your HTML code. Table row, table heading, table data, right? Now when we are discussing that code, the next part is the code. I will explain where you need to write the table tag, the table row, table heading tag, right? So now we're looking to the code. They're saying you identify what this is. Now, what number one? What number one? The first tag is. What is number two? Right? Now here, uh, the number one is title. Yes, correct. Right? The one is title. The second one, what do you think the second one is? The second one is the H2 tag, right? This is already given in your past papers, but I took it just to explain about the table tag, right? So H2 tag and the closing H2 tag. Number three, what is the number three? Underline tag, right? Sorry, UL tag. It's the unordered list tag. Why? Because you can see here, there is a bullet point that is being used. So in order to use these bullet points, you need to use lists. So the specified lists, this is a disk type, right? So where do you find this disk type? Under unordered list. So question, the third one should be UL, right? Yeah. Fourth one, what is fourth one? Fourth one, it starts as COVID-19 immunization as COVID-19 immunization as. So this is a list, right? So when you introduce the tag here, you will tag here, right? The next part I told you, whenever you're writing information, when you're denoting lists, you have to use the list tag, LI tag, right? Yeah. This is very difficult. I'll just write it here. LI tag. Right? So inline tag here also closing tag. Now the fifth one, it's table tag here, children. Now after, as soon as this bullet point, this is done, there is a table that comes. Now when you're creating the table, you need to have these three tags. That's very important. First the table tag, right? First you need to have the table tag. That is To create a table, you start with that, right? Second one, you need to have the table heading tag, right? TH tag, table head, TH means table heading. Then the TR tag, table row, right? And the TD tag, it's the table data tag. Each of these tags have closing tags as well, right? So table tag you use at the first, right? Now here, these highlighted portions in here are headings, type of dose, number of vaccinations, populations. Can you see it's highlighted than the other information? Those are headings. So when you're writing the information, now type of dose, for each heading, you can't write it at once. First you need to write type of dose, okay? Close that heading and then only start the second heading, right? So first that, then only you need to start the second heading. So this is going to be the first heading. If you don't highlight the headings in your table, then it won't be displayed in your output, right? So the first heading is type of dose. You put it inside one uh, table heading tag, right? Table heading one tag. This is another one. This is the closing of it. Now this is the second table heading. Why? Now we have another heading, number of vaccinations. See in the code, number of vaccinations. That same code is given down. I'll show you all that in itself teach. That's easier. Okay, so number of heading tag. Okay, so this question number 7 is going to be table heading tags, right? So after table heading, this is the sixth one again, table row tag. Okay, before you start this one, you need to write, forgot to mention, table row, right? So table row tag comes here first because the first row, no, this is first row, second row, third row, fourth row, right? So table row tag, in under the first table row tag, you have the three headings. Heading number 1, 2, 3. For each of that, you have to write it using the table heading tag. So when you're starting a new row, again, you start the uh, this tag, TR tag. So that is here, table row. Okay. Sixth one again, table row. And that under that, the second row, you have first dose, the number of vaccination, population, right? So each of these is called as table data, right? First dose, the word that is a table data. This one, this amount is a vaccination numbers is a table data. Population percentage is a table data. So here your this one, when you're writing, it changes to table data. Now, table heading is different from table data, right? If you don't include the table data, it won't be coming under this, right? So if you don't use the tag, table data tag, right? Yes. Second one, you have that is also again 6 table row. All these are table row tags. Then last one you have um, the fifth one. That's the fifth one we used. The table border tag. Now here, if you execute this code here, okay, if you execute this code here, and you don't use table border tag in your HTML coding, it will look like something like this. It will have the information, right? It will have the information like this. Okay, imagine this is the words no border. This border is not there. This border and this alignment here, these borders, these rows, these lines, these rows won't be there if you don't add the table border tag. When you're creating the table in your HTML code, this won't be visible. It will or just be first dose, second dose, booster. These divisions won't be there, right? Now, because we added the table border in the output also, we can see it here. Right? We can see it here. So the table border that they have given in here is only the fifth one. Right? Now 8th and ninth, we discussed till 7th one, right? Now 7th one we studied, that is table heading tag. Then the 6th one, The sixth one we studied is the TR tag, that's the table row tag, right? First, you need to create the table row, and first tag is table tag, second one is table row tag. Then you create the three headings, and then in order to start a new row, you close the first row that you have created. Okay, the TR slash tag is the closing tag of the table row. You close it and start a new table row as that, and you start including it as this first dose number of vaccination as the table data. Right? Clear for you all. I hope that is clear. Now this one, the fourth one, again list, right? Because monthly COVID-19 vaccinations, you can see uh, this is a list that is being used here. A disk, unordered list type, which is used here is disk. Okay, yes. So monthly COVID-19, again, fourth one is list here. Eighth one is center tag. Why? Because in these active cases, part, this image has been placed in the center. So the eighth one is considered as the center tag. And ninth one, img, image, right? In order to include an image in a HTML code, you use this img src tag. Source, src means source, right? Yes, that tag. And finally, the last one, 10th one, href, a href. Okay, so it's going to be as, this is to add this hyperlink, right? Now you see World Health Organization is the link. So if you add it, if you include it with this href tag only, it will be visible in here. Usually hyperlinks in a web page is highlighted. Mostly it's not underlined, it's highlighted and it is in blue color. If you click on it, click onto it, you can direct yourself to that relevant web page or website. Right? So that is it with HTML coding, the basics of it, how you can answer the questions with related to HTML and the tags. I have covered on the unordered list, unordered list, the basic tags, paragraph tags I explained, but I can't show everything for y'all because it's a seminar, right? So I will try to cover the most important parts and do a lot of questions for y'all only. So I hope you all understood the HTML part and you all can do any sort of a question after this. It's not that hard, right? So this HTML is a very easy lesson. Okay. Yeah, so there's nothing for homework under HTML, right? We have database. We'll start with database management system. Now, database management system, under your database lesson, we study about relational databases. Relational databases are a collection of tables that is interconnected to one another. Right? So, one way or the other, there is some sort of a relation between these relationships between this table. Right? Now, when you look at this table in here, um, say, look at this question, grade 11 ICT Western Province question. See, you have these three tables. Now we'll look into each table and I'm going to explain the first I'll start with the features of a table, right? Now when you take a table like this, right, the information that is being stored, the data in this that is being stored is called a record. Okay, a record. This whole thing is called a record. And the names, the title names that is given for each column, this employee number, employee name, address, and telephone number, those are called as attributes, or you can call it as column names or fields. Okay, you can call it as attributes, column names, or fields. Right? So a record is a collection of a row of data, row or column. This way or this way, it's called a record. Fields are the titles that are given to each of these columns here. They are also called as attributes, or else you can call them columns, or you can call them fields. So collect this. These are the things that make up a data, a table, right? Table in a database. So now here they have given three uh, tables. Now, I don't want to go into the theory much. In between, I will explain with the questions itself. How many fields are in the employee table? Okay. Now, in here, there are three tables: employee table, project table, employee assistant table. They're asking how many fields. Now, fields I told, what are fields? These titles. Right? How many do we have? Now, according to the employee table, how many do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the answer for this is going to be 4, right? Yeah. So that is easy. Now, what is an example for a foreign key in database? Now, what is this foreign key? Right? Now, you have a particular table in a database. Right? In databases, the main reason why we use these electronic databases is to store information efficiently and accurately, at the same time, not to store information repeatedly, right? And you have to be able to retrieve informations easily from databases, right? So these tables are connected, have some sort of a relationship, children. When you access one table, now say this table has three fields. Say the first field is name, right? First field is name here. The second field, you can say age. Third field, you can say date of birth. I'll put as DOB, right? And I'll put it as admission number. This is with related to uh, enrolling a student in school, right? So now we have that. Now in this second table, now to show what foreign key is, I'm going to show it like this only, right? In the second table, you have name, or you can say student address. These tables are so unorganized, but I hope you all can manage. Wait, I'll draw nicely for you. Okay, I'll have that paint. Okay. Okay. Second table, you have student uh, address. Okay, you have student address, and the second one you will have is student. Say you can say gender, something like that. Gender of the student, whether he is a male or female, right? So this is the table that is being drawn in here, right? So in order to identify foreign keys, children, I'm going to tell you that I'm going to tell you. Okay, so these two tables are ready. Now, in order to identify the foreign key, you usually take one table and you see whether the information included in each of these tables is unique, right? The data or the record, the data that is included is unique. Now, for example, now say the person's name, right? And the person's age and the person's date of birth can be same at some point, right? Now there can be a person called Fatima. Two people can be Fatima. Two people can have the same age. Two people can have same type of date of birth. Might be the yeah, two people can have the same type of date of birth. For example, when you're enrolling a student in school, right? But admission number, children, it is unique, right? So this unique is called as. Just give me 2 minutes, children. Okay, children. Okay, so now admission number is unique for each and every child, right? So because this admission number is unique to each and every child, there is no way that the values in this admission number field is repeated or be the same, It cannot be like one child can get the same admission number. No, we can't, it won't be like that, right? Each and every child will get a unique admission number only. So such a field which has unique values, right? A field that has unique values and the values are not repeated again and again is called as a primary key field, right? Now, in order to create a relationship, I'm creating a new table. Now this is student table, see, student table, and this is student details table. I'm putting it as SD, right? Now, when it comes to foreign key, children, foreign key is the field, key field, where the primary key of one table is used as the foreign key of another table, right? So the primary key of one table is used as the foreign key of another table. Now, foreign key is what? The primary key of this table. Now, admission number is selected as a unique field. So this field which has unique values and the values are not repeated, that field is called a primary key field. So in order to create a relationship with the next table and to uniquely identify a student, we use this field in this table. Okay, so when you use this field in this table, when you save all this data in this table, when you use this entire admission number field and you create this student details table, this particular field becomes the foreign key. That's why we call a foreign key is the primary key of another table. In this student table, admission number is a primary key field. But when it comes to student details table, this admission number field, the same field is called as the foreign key field. Why? Because the foreign key, the foreign key is used, the primary key is used to create a relationship between two tables. Okay, this one field is used to create a relationship with the other table. The reason why we do this is because of the relational database mechanism. Right? That's why it's called relational databases. Right? Now, if you take the student details table and you want to find the particular, say, now the first student's admission number is 001. Right? Now, in here, when you come to 001, okay, here in this details you have the person's name, age, date of birth, admission number, everything is there. In student details table we don't have this name, age or date of birth. Now if suppose you're accessing the student details table and you want to find the admission number, one person's name or age or date of birth, you can use this foreign key in here and refer it to the information in this table and find it, right? So that is called as a foreign key, the primary key of one table which is used to create a relationship with another table. So in here admission number is a primary key. Why? Because admission number values are unique, they are not repeated. Because of that, this particular field is identified as the primary key field. We cannot take name, age or date of birth. Why? Because a person can have the same name, a person can have the same age. So say a person like Asma, that may be another person called Asma also, right? So age, there can be two people having the same age. Date of birth also, there are chances that students can have the same date of birth. But admission number is unique for every student, right? So admission number is unique for every student, and that admission number is not given to another student as well. So two students will have the same admission number. Admission number for every student is unique. That's why we consider this as a unique field. So when we consider this as a unique field, this eventually becomes the primary key. So when you're creating the relationship, when you're creating another table and you want to select a primary key from this table, you use this admission number field only. Right? Clear for all? Till that part clear? Any doubts? I think I have to show it to you all in detail with the information, but I just gave an overview idea of it. right? So foreign key is the primary key of another table. In the student table, admission number is the primary key. Okay. The same field, when it is used under the student details table, it becomes the foreign key. Why? Because we have used this primary key to create this entire table with this primary key again. So that's why it is identified like that. Right? So what is an example of a foreign key in the database? Look at this employee table, employee number, here, employee number, employee name, address and telephone number. You have the second table, project table, employee assigned table. Now, how do you identify the foreign key? Look at these fields first. Okay, look at these fields of every table. Now, see which two tables have the same field repeated here. Now, employee number, you can find that same thing in the employee assigned table. If it is, if this is the first table, right, and this is the second table, which one is the primary key and which one is the foreign key? In the employee table, employee number is the primary key, right? And employee in the employee assigned table, this employee field becomes the foreign key. Why? Because this primary key, when it is used in another table, it is called as a foreign key, right? So this is how the relationship is being made. That's why it is very easy to access information in relational databases. If you use the employee assigned table, you can find information using this unique foreign key. You can find information with related to this also, right? So this is why the primary key in employee table is employee number one, employee number, right? This is the primary key in employee table. In here, under the employee assigned table, this employee field becomes the foreign key. So the answer for this is going to be employee. What is the example for a foreign key in a database? Employee number in employee assigned table, right? So this is going to be the answer, 20th answer, second one. Who works in the project called Felix? Now here come to project table. You have to use the project table in here. Okay. Find Felix program project name. Who is using that? P02. Project number P02. Right? Now, in which field again do you find project number 2? In which field do you find project number 2 again? You find in this table, employee assigned table. Now, you're going to find who works in that project. Now, P02, you have to come here, check who is using P02, and using the employee number, you can go to the first table, check who has that relevant identification number, and you will get the answer as Nimanta Silva. Identify the project, get the project number, find whether you can find that project number particular field in another table. If you find it, you can check who has done the Felix project. So they have given the person who has this employee number called E001 only has done. So again, you check where you find this employee number table, in which other table you find it only in the employee table. So using the employee table, you can find the relevant person who is doing the course. So the answer for this is Nimanta Silva. That's all. Simple as that. 22nd one, after recruiting a new employee to the company, he will be attached to an existing project. What are the tables that are needed to be updated for this purpose? What are the tables that should be needed to update? Now they are going to recruit a new employee. Now if you're recruiting a new employee means you're going to add something in the employee database, right? The new person means first and foremost table that's going to be updated is this. What are the tables that needs to be updated for this purpose? Now I told you, if your remember children, if your primary key field if anything has been updated, wherever you have this particular field, that particular table is also updated. Now, in this case, they are saying a new employee is coming, is joining the company, right? A new employee is joining the company. For example, say his number is E05, E05, not E05, it's going to be E06. Okay, so this is the new employee, and his name is, say, uh, Madhava, or you can say, okay, his name is Madhava. Likewise, his address, his details, all these things are included. Now, when this table is being updated here, okay, and a new person is being added, you have to check what other tables do you find this field, this employee number field. Where else do you find it? Where else do you find it? You find it in this table. So when you update this table also eventually gets updated. Again, what happens? E06 comes, that person Madhava's project number or whatever. This field is also been, yeah, this field also changes, but in here the project number only will change, okay? Not the entire whole, uh, this one will change, or a new field won't be added, okay? There is no complete update that will happen, only the project will be included, right? So they're asking if you include, if this particular person is joining the company, where it will be fully updated. So it will be fully updated in employee table and employee assigned table only. It won't be updated in here, especially this, uh, employee number, start date, end date, all these things, right? So these two tables, employee table, employee assigned table, will be, not this, will be employee table, employee assigned table will be updated, right? Project table, if that particular person say is not doing a project out of the courses in here, is doing something else, right? So then it will be blank, and then that won't be updated no anyways, right? So children, here, if you update, if this new person enters the company, it will be updated in here. Why? You have the employee number table, so here also you have that same field. So when you make an updation here also it eventually updates. So employee table and employee assigned table will be updated, right? So that is there. Okay, so the question number 2 and 3. 2, I want you all to do it for homework. Now 3, I will quickly discuss it for you all. 3, write down. Now in here it says following are partly shown databases which are used to store details about food items. You have 3 tables: purchases, suppliers, and item of the school canteen, right? Yes. So you have 3. So write down the primary key of the purchase table. What is the primary key of the purchase table? Now you have item ID, supplier ID, item name. Now when you're finding primary key, remember, look at the fields of each of these tables. Now in purchase table and this item table, you can see the item ID field is the same, right? Now if this is the first table that is being created, then this is eventually going to be the primary key field. In purchase table, this item ID is going to be the foreign key. Why? Because this primary key of the item table is only being used to create the purchase table in the yeah, to create the purchase tables foreign key. So this is going to be the foreign key, and this is going to be the primary key, right? So the primary key of this table is used to create another table. So when it comes to this table, item ID is foreign key, right? Yeah. So purchasing price cannot be a primary key because sometimes certain products may have the same type of price. Okay. S04 can, sorry, this particular product item, say another item is being added. Now, 01, 02, 3, and 4. tea bun, fish roll, chicken roll, and vegetable roll. If I'm going to add cake, right, I can sell that same cake for 60 rupees. So if I do that, in this table also it will be updated saying that item 5 cake rupees 60. Then what will happen here? You will have repeated values. So can a particular field become a primary key if there is repeated values? No, because I told you there are two attributes you need to check for a particular field to be primary key. One, the value should be unique. Two, the second one is that the values should not be repeated. Now in this case, in this table, this is foreign key. This cannot be considered as primary key, and this also cannot be considered as primary key. Why, children? This has been repeated. Can you see S04, S04? So then what is the primary key of the purchase table? There is no one primary key. There is something called composite key, right? Two primary keys. When a particular table has two primary keys, when you cannot find one primary key for that table, a unique field for that table, right, to identify that particular field as a primary key, in that case we use two fields as primary keys. So that is called as composite primary key, right? That. So you have two for purchase table. One is supplier ID and item ID. You can't use purchasing price. Two primary keys, right? So the next one, write down the foreign keys in the purchase table. You know what the foreign key is, which is item ID only, right? So those are the two answers. A, you have two types. B, item ID and supplier ID. Yes, item ID and supplier ID, two primary keys. So the A has two primary keys. When a particular table has two primary keys, we call it as a composite primary key. Composite means two, right? You can't identify one. So because of that, we call it as composite, right? So in that case, there's two primary keys for the first one, that is supply ID, item ID. Second one, foreign key for the purchase table is only item ID. Okay, so with that, we have concluded our seminar for today. I want you to do this question as homework as well, right? Use the knowledge that I have taught you and you have studied, and do it and do it and send it to me. Do it and send it to me so that I know you have understood the lesson well. You can now will conclude with this. I have covered almost all this one. I have given you some homework to do related to the MS Excel part. That is question number 18, question number 21, and this fourth question here. And I told you this database related one, right, children? Okay. So if you all have any doubts, do the question and send it to me. If you get anything wrong, I will send an explanation for the questions that you have got wrong, right? So you can share your feedback as well related to both the seminars, and with this we'll conclude. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for attending.